What's up, my brothers and sisters? Welcome to the Fireground Fitness Podcast, where we talk about all things pertaining to life on and off the fireground. The views and the opinions expressed are those of your host and our guest. Today, we sit down with Kory Pearn. He's a 23-year firefighter, a captain, and founder, publisher, and editor-in-chief of CRACKYL Magazine, one of the fire service fastest-growing media platforms. He's an author, public speaker, and a leading voice advocating for firefighter health, identity, purpose, and career longevity. It's a great episode. Hope you enjoy. Kory, thanks, brother, for taking this opportunity to sit down and talk to me and be a guest on the Fireground Fitness Podcast.
Absolutely.
And super excited to talk to you and want to talk to you about CRACKYL Magazine and what you guys are doing there and what your mission is and how you're kind of pushing that into the wilderness, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But I also want to talk about, you and how you kind of came up in the fire service and how we got here. So why don't you, tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sounds good. Yeah. Thanks for having me. How I got here was not a straight road. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Was never in my, vision to be a firefighter. My parents owned a refrigeration, heating, air conditioning company. And that's what I wanted to do, was take it over.
Get into the family biz.
That was the goal. And I did, I got my mechanic's license, and that's what I was destined to do. And then ended up going to an information night for firefighter recruitment in the city I lived in. And I came home and it was like, what is this world?
Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Okay, now hold on. I got to just touch on this real quick because you grew up where?
So I grew up in southwestern Ontario.
Southwestern Ontario.
Canada.
Yeah. We just got to put it out there because you do have an accent. I don't know if you know that or not, but you have a little Canadian accent.
Yes. Yeah. I do get that. Yeah.
So it might pop out on me because I grew up in Canada, and when I'm around Canucks, every once in a while I get reinvigorated with my accent. It comes out. So it might manifest itself today. I don't know. We'll see. It's been a long time since I sat with some Canadians, and so we'll see what kind of power you can pull over on me.
We'll see.
So southwestern Ontario, outside of when I think of Ontario, I think of Toronto. So that's only because I lived there for a period of time. So what part of Ontario are you from?
Yeah, so I lived between basically Detroit and Toronto.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Windsor and Toronto.
Okay, right on.
Yeah, and London. Yeah.
What did you like about that?
Yeah, I don't know any different. That's
okay. Copy that.
That's home for me.
Yeah. Do you still live there?
I do.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I completely interrupted you. I apologize. So you said you went out to an information night at the local firehouse and you fell in love.
Yeah. Again, it just kind of, I don't even know where that came from because here I'm going one direction, and then I thought I'll be 23 years old, licensed mechanic, refrigeration mechanic, gas fitter. It was actually my dad was like, why don't you maybe try something? So,
yeah.
And it was just in a passing that he said this, and and then all of a sudden this information night came up. It's like, well, I'll check it out. And I came home and I was just like, wow. Like,
what was it about it that really hooked you?
I don't know. I don't know if it was you could definitely feel chemistry in the room. It felt like just something I wanted to belong to, if that made sense. Like, It just pulled me right in. It was nothing they really said. I think it was just this challenge. Seemed like it was hard to get into, and maybe I was looking for a challenge. And it was kind of, appealing to when I thought I knew what I was going to do the rest of my life. And then this was a whole world that I didn't know.
Yeah.
I think that's probably part of it. Maybe the uncertainty became really, really, curious to see where that would go or what it even means.
Yeah. There's something about the unknown, right? That sparks it. There's a little bit of that, the journey in all of us.
Yeah.
Like, well, the journey that you're taking over the family business, you know exactly what that looks like.
Right. Yeah. And I do talk about like our 6 basic needs, human needs, and, certainty is one of them, but uncertainty is another one, and variety.
Yeah. Say more about that.
So it really, looking back now, I think that's probably the box that it checked off the most was.
Yeah. Are you an adventurous person in general?
I don't I don't know. I'm definitely intense. Like I'm in a couple bands.
Oh yeah.
I sing in one band. I drum in another band.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
That I did not know that about you. What kind of music?
Right. Like I'll say alternative rock. I grew up in the 90s, right? So like, I mean, when I was probably the most influential time in my life, but yeah, and they both have, I did the singing thing because it was a learned behavior for me. It was a challenge to public speak, and it was this kind of the gateway to this life that I was trying to build or wanted to get into. So it's still challenging. Like,
do you enjoy getting on stage and performing, or is that anxiety provoking?
I mean, this has all been tactics and things. I always looked at it like a job. So something I grew up, I used to be very shy. Getting in front of people is not a good time for me. But I also knew in order to do the things I need to do, that's the next logical platform is to have a voice. So the singing was something that made sense to me because of, playing music, and it's kind of a safe place for me, I guess.
Yeah.
And I was able to build on that opposed to joining some public speaking or toasters club.
Right. So you kind of tackle that shyness a little bit by putting yourself in an uncomfortable position.
Right.
But in a way that was a little bit more comfortable for you.
All designed to make me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Even doing this podcast right now.
I can see you're sweating.
Yeah. Just, it's been an hour already, hasn't it? Yeah. That's just, again, like the things I want, I can't turn from. And I have to to learn how to be a character and be comfortable with that character.
Yeah. That's interesting. I think about that in a lot of places in our life, right? We face adversity and it's really, life can be challenging and scary and dark at times, but what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You have to tackle it. You have to lean into it a little bit and move through it. Right. And there's this great book, and I can't remember the title of it right now, but there's this little boy walking with this little herd of animals. I think it's called the horse, the boy, the mole, and the fox, or something like that, whatever. And the boys, they're in this tall grass, and the kid says, "I can't see where we're going. I don't know what my next, I don't know what's next. I don't know where we're going." And the horse, who can see, has some vision, says, "Well, can you see your next step?" And he's like, "Well, yeah." And he goes, "Then take that."
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, I think about that a lot when we talk about like persevering in life. Is sometimes you're not going to know how the story's going to end, so you take the next step. Right? You get on the stage. You don't know how it's going to go.
Yeah, you do it. I would say nothing amazing ever happens sitting on the couch, but maybe this podcast is sitting on the couch.
One exception.
Yeah, but you have to bring life to you. Yeah, and you don't have to look very far to be amazed. Like, I think we set this bar so high, like everything needs to be so high, and it doesn't. I mean, I try to limit my hills and valleys. I try to operate at a level that I feel I can sustain now. Things that make sense, and just kind of living in that gratitude, and take things as they come and try to work with the universe instead of fighting it.
Yeah,
I think a lot of that, and the bands and the music, it's so different from firefighting. Yeah, it's so different than publishing. It's different than parenting. It's different than being a spouse, a husband. Right. And it's just a time to kind of really get out of my head, I guess, and just do something different. Yeah. I'm a big fan of hobbies. So.
Well, there you go. I think that's at what point in you were playing music, I'm assuming from childhood, right? As a kid.
Yes. Yeah. Basically.
Yeah. What instrument do you play?
Drums.
You said that. Okay. You did.
I play drums,
That is not common that a drummer sings.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I started to play a little bit of guitar, but it's just, again, the singing became the thing I was really after. Yeah. It wasn't to play a solo on a guitar. That was never my goal. Yeah. Yeah, I'm a bit of a can of worms as far as different things I've been involved in. Like, we fixed up, my brother and I fixed up jukeboxes. Oh, yeah? We digitized the jukeboxes and kind of restored things. I got into Lego while I was off and when I was kind of in recovery. And so I've always been a collector. And I think that's that's part of things. And I think I'm doing that now with magazines.
Yeah.
I think I'm really just starting a collection.
Well, so tell me, so go back to, so you go out, how hard was it to get on the department? Was it a big process for you, a long testing process?
Yeah. So, I mean, in Canada, you basically apply and you go through, recruitment, and you do all your training, and then you kind of apply and go through that process. So it was just, you had to have your ducks in a row and be, basically I say everyone gets a ball. It's up to you to not to drop it. And usually it's something happens, or you're just not eligible, or you get an injury. So, kind of that's really what you're up against when you're trying to get hired. And usually you get hired right before you're ready to give up. Right? Which, kind of builds that gratitude part into it. But, for me, it was a 2-year process to get hired. By the time I did the training, got all my prerequisites, and, kind of started that journey and waiting for departments to recruit. Yeah. So I was on their timelines, not mine.
So is it typically the structure that you like put yourself through like a firefighter 1 and 2 type program?
That's right.
Get your basic EMT or whatever first responder type, and then the departments will pick you.
Then you apply.
You go out and test the departments.
Then you apply. You meet the minimum qualifications, and everything else you've padded on your resume.
Do any of the jurisdictions up there do their own academies or anything like that?
They'll have their own recruitment once you're hired, but typically now you're coming in with credentials, and then you'll do
OJT or something.
Then you'll do their recruit class. But
but it's usually like a smaller, just local type.
It'll be just for their department usually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So,
and is the 1 and 2 like a provincial, or is it a national credential?
Yeah. So I was NFPA. Where like firefighter level 1 and 2, and
I guess my question is if you were in Ontario, could you apply in BC?
Yes.
Oh,
cool. Because it's NFPA, so it's
so everyone had kind of accepted it across the country. Oh, okay, very cool. Yeah. Nice. Right on. So what year did you get on the job?
2003.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about you. So what did you do throughout the course of your career so far? What have been some highlights and lowlights?
Well, I mean, I got in. I think I started falling into different grooves where I kind of went where people weren't, I guess. I started kind of getting into the maintenance side of, fixing our SCBA packs, field service maintenance. Okay.
That makes sense. So you're a tinkerer. That makes sense.
Fixing fire hose, the couplings, and like it's kind of a lost art. So just I did the things that really weren't kind of sexy. It was just kind of but keeping things going.
Yeah.
That's just what made sense to me. Redoing our long reports, forms, and stuff that if I did something and it didn't make any sense, I would be like, "How can we change this?"
Yeah.
So
you've been doing this now for 20 some years. So what has surprised you most? Like, I guess it sounds like you didn't really have a lot of expectations. You weren't like plotting and planning. So you get into this job, into this career. What over the course of your career has surprised you?
Yeah, I mean, again, so when I got into it, one of the things I started doing right away was I found a lot of things that I got, people would always say how many people wanted to get this job, but no one really knew how to go about getting this job. Like as far as for us, like what course to take, or, do you finish if you're in the 3rd year of your apprenticeship, do you finish your apprenticeship before you apply to departments, or like just this life coaching stuff. So I got into that. I ended up writing a book called The Complete Guide to Becoming a Firefighter. And I traveled around Canada hosting events.
Oh, cool.
And called the Firefighter Career Expo.
Nice.
And I did that for a while. And I, just kind of stayed in the helping people get hired because I love this job. I was very grateful. And then as that progressed, I got into the publishing side of things. So I was asked if I wanted to take on this sales job.
Yeah.
And I loved it. So then that just became more. And then I ended up having five publications that I was managing. And, going to conferences, dealing with associations and building, solutions and things to the industries. And, so I really kind of went down that rabbit hole. At that time, my family was, kids were little. was working from home. I did the refrigeration firefighting thing for a couple years. Literally come home, change, and then back in the service van.
Yeah.
On the roof all day, whatever. Come back, change, go on night shift. So I did that for a long time, and so I think I've always had something kind of driving something else. So I've always been distracted. Firefighting to me is, I don't know. It's I don't know. I can't imagine doing anything else, and if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then doing this publishing stuff was like checking a lot of other boxes, this creativity side, it just made sense to me. I'm not sure. And it was kind of, again, bringing me out of my shell, putting me in rooms that couldn't believe I was in, And
this is on the sales piece.
This is on the sale. Yeah. So, I mean, every industry has like people at the top that are fighting for whether it's whatever that is. So if it's whatever market you're in. I had wings. I had a fixed aviation magazine. I had a helicopter magazine. Like, it's cool stuff, right? But every industry has its own hurdles. It has its own players. Has its own. So, and then bringing back to firefighting, like, this makes the most sense to me.
Right.
Is obviously this space, but I learned a lot knowing that there's other spaces that have same similarities. Like, I was kind of became very, very useful because of these other things I had done and seen. It's like, in order to know about the world, you travel.
Yeah.
Then you have a different opinion. And I think I've had a publishing opinion to be in different markets, to see that there's a lot of synergies with different markets. Certain things are problems in all of them, and certain things are solutions for it.
So give me an example.
Well, like you'll always have an association that's trying to, improve the quality of what they're doing, or their dialogue with the end user. Depends if you're B2B space. They're trying to support their retailers or their, distributors to ultimately.
You just threw out some industry jargon. What is B2B space?
Oh, like business to business.
Okay.
You have B2C, business to
consumer?
Consumer.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm catching on.
Yeah. Yeah. So, magazines in the B2B space are helping the industry be healthy to support the end user.
Copy.
And then B2C is, completely different, where it's going through the industry to get to that.
So did you think with, so let's talk about CRACKYL a little bit. Was there a spot in the industry or in the space where you're like, hey, there's a gap here that I really want to see filled?
Mm-hmm. So, when I was in the middle of all my, this job that I had, right? So I did this for 11 years. I had pitched to Firefighter Lifestyle and Health Magazine, and nothing happened with it. It wasn't the timing, and maybe my vision wasn't clear on trying to present it. So I kind of sat with it. And then in 2017, basically my heart was failing. So I had congestive heart failure. I was ignoring all the signs and symptoms. I had atrial fibrillation. Started with, atrial flutters. And so I had been hiding these symptoms for a long time, and fearing, this is the firefighter brain, where I didn't want to be taken off the job.
Yeah.
I was worried about, not being able to be a firefighter, and not being able to do all this traveling I was doing, and being who I was to the people around me. So the natural thing to do would be to hide from it.
Right.
And try to isolate from it.
We go back to what you were talking about earlier about how life comes at you and how scary some of these things are.
Yeah.
And what are our coping mechanisms, right? Like, you go down this path and you've never been
coping is shut down.
Yeah. We've never been down this path before. And you're like, well, I know that one thing is that they could ruin my career, so let's just not go there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And then you're managing these things. And so I ended up hitting what I call my rock bottom, was, literally on my deathbed. I went to a walk-in clinic, and they were going to call an ambulance. And I said, don't call an ambulance. I'll go to the hospital.
I know the guys were coming. I'm not interested.
I'm like, I don't want that.
Right.
And I end up going home.
Yeah.
And got to the point where just got, for that night and waking my wife up and just being like, I can't do this. And I don't even know.
Do you have kids at this time?
Yeah, we have, 2 daughters. Yeah.
Which is, I bring that up just that adds a layer of, what the complexity of our lives, right?
Sure
You've got the work life and our family lives and our kids and our spouses, and it's a lot.
It is. And, so we mean a lot of things to different people.
And
so here I was, like, literally, I had to wave the white flag. I mean, it didn't matter what I wanted at that point. My was like gray. I was like ghastly looking. And, so we went to the hospital. I was hospitalized for a week. I had like an IV in my arm within 5 minutes of walking in the door. And, I would say, like Mike Tyson, everyone has a plan until they're punched in the face.
Right.
So here I was. And I had to like retool what the hell I was doing.
Yeah.
Like, again, you can't do this job if you're not here. So I needed to figure out what I was doing and what was not sustainable for what I was creating. I was off work for a year, and in that year, like, it was the hardest thing for me to do is sit still.
Yeah.
And a lot of things were just taken out of my hands. Like, I was still doing the sales job, even though I was off. I didn't know if I was going to be able to be a firefighter and in the suppression side of things.
Right.
I didn't know what that looked like. I needed to heal.
Yeah.
I underwent 4 ablation therapy, procedures.
What was the underlying issue?
So I had the atrial fibrillation. So it was just, I think it was stress and, probably there's definitely genetics in there. But I created that environment, the, rapid, shallow breathing all the time and just like trying to get things done. Definitely feeling this pressure of not failing, not hitting my budgets.
Yeah.
The firefighting side was never stressful to me. It was all the shit that I had built up around it that stressed me out.
Yeah.
So, and this is kind of where my epiphany was, again, if you're not here, then you won't be able to be a firefighter. And what version of me was showing up to be a firefighter, and, what was sustainable and what wasn't. And so when I was off the job, I had to get really good at not being a firefighter. And I had to get really comfortable with being not okay and just, okay, I'm on a timeout. Like, and I don't know all this uncertainty. And I ended up just being okay with all of that. It was probably the most personal, like the biggest life growth I've ever had, because now when I think about what I'm doing, it's always very intentional, and what energy am I exhausting and what is that worth? That whole risk a little, get a little, right? Risk a lot, get a lot. If I'm going to take energy away from my family or the things that are important to me, then what's it for, and who's it for? So this is where this all came from. I got back to the job. My heart had restored. I was, lucky, basically. I got I'm cardio inverted.
New lease on life, right?
I've been shocked, and this is, Kory 2.0 here. And I get a second chance.
Yeah.
So that was like, okay, what am I going to do? I quit that job that I had with all the sales jobs. I quit everything. And then had decided if I'm going to work this hard, I'm going to do it for us, as for firefighters. And so I did some thinking, and I thought, what if I did this Firefighter Lifestyle and Health Magazine thing? And if I did, what would it look like? So it was more just like, let's just see.
So this is going kind of retro back to your original idea.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I had created like a website and everything, what it would look like on paper with, and I had pinned that on my wall. I looked at it every day. Yeah. And it just became, what if the way I failed myself, I didn't have to be off work for a year if I had just got it checked out.
Yeah.
But I was so stubborn. I was so ignorant, and I was so scared, I guess. But you know what? All the shit I was trying to avoid happened anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. How long did you sit in that denial, pushing it off,
years,
knowing that
like
you
years, like
ill.
it didn't happen overnight. Like I could have got checked out, and they could have just probably very simply done something, and but I didn't, and I wanted it to get as bad as it could get, I guess. Just to really.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Again, I didn't want it to be nothing. I didn't want to go into the hospital and be like, "You're fine, just get out of here," and I'm like, "Oh, like."
Yeah, I'm catastrophizing.
Yeah, so it's like, you wanted to make sure you were really effed up before you got into the system, and I think, I think a lot of it was just, again, identity was probably a big part of it.
Yeah. Well, it makes me wonder. I think this is not your story is unique. However, there's certain commonalities that I think I've heard through
100%.
other stories. And I guess my question for you is what do we as firefighters, we as, I'll say men in general, right? What do we do that causes this? Because it seems to be fairly common.
Yeah.
Right? What is it about us? What are we doing? And what are we missing that we should be allowing into our lives?
Well, I mean, this is why men die and women get old. I mean, there's definitely ego in there. We try to fix things. We don't want to be one being fixed. I mean, there's layers upon layers of why we, and they're all relevant, and you just need one of them to really not go get checked out.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. We're just really good at, I don't know. We're a mess that way. And it's like seeing these like the cancer screenings and people going to get checked out blows my mind.
Yeah. I've heard more than a number of firefighters say, I'd rather not know.
Yeah.
I'd rather not know, which blows my mind because
it's fear. That's fear driven.
Right. Well, I guess that's what I'm driving at is like, we as human beings, right, need to recognize that we are fragile, and there's a lot of stuff that we can outperform, but there's also things that if we just stop for a second and say, I need to advocate for my own health here. Yep. And you said something earlier, which I think is really important. You said, if I get sick, then I can't be a firefighter. Yeah. And in my mind, I'm thinking, right. And there's all these other hats you wear, husband, father, right? Magazine guy, like all those things. You can't do any of that. And dreams that you haven't even had yet, you don't get to explore those if you don't take care of yourself. And so, and it blows my mind that we are not more powerful advocates for our own health, but we'll sit here sick and allow that to be okay, or not do anything about it. I don't accept allow it, but it just is.
Yeah. No, we have to change that narrative. Yeah. We have to. Yeah. And we can fix things before they even become big things.
Yeah.
You can pick your hard. Like that's the, it's one of those things. And I do have a saying, it's like, whatever you're not changing, you're choosing.
Yeah, 100%. I totally love that.
That one is like, it's there. And the other thing is when we start to not...
Say that one more. Hold on, I want to slow down. I jumped on top of you when you said that. I want to hear that one more time. Say it one more time.
So whatever you're not changing, you're choosing. So, everything can be boiled down to that simple line. And it's, again, either stay up and have another beer or go to bed. That's a choice. Show up in the morning tired and hungover. That's a choice.
Yeah.
All those things. And it can be, it's those little things that are the fractures that lead up to bigger problems. If you want to just fix anything, you start with getting more sleep and exercising and go from there. I mean, that's just the reality of it.
Yeah. Well, what occurs to me, Kory, is that I think we are unwittingly choosing the consequences, and we're not paying attention to that. Like, we need to recognize that if we don't take care of our health, the consequence of being unhealthy is not, is maybe it's gaining a little bit of weight or losing some functional movement, or maybe this is because I'm in my 50s now and I get it. Right. I'm suddenly like, I feel the consequences of my choices throughout my life. My lack of mobility training or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
But those, like the consequences of not going and getting a cancer screen, where you're choosing to take what could potentially be preventable ailment and pushing it down the road until it's not preventable.
That's right.
Why would you do that?
Well, you're in control. The other one, you're not.
Right.
And, either make time for your wellness or you'll be forced to make time for your illness.
Yeah.
You pick one.
Yeah.
I'm the poster child for that one. I mean, so this is where my journey.
So Kory 2.0 emerges.
Yeah.
What are we doing? What are we doing with the renewal?
Well, there's certain things I felt I was doing well. I mean, I didn't want to change. It's not like I'm like, oh, I'm going to be a better dad. I'm going to be a better husband. Like I loved how I was a dad, So some things kind of became, okay. Like those are areas that I was proud of, and I built on that. I'm not a perfect husband, but I also,
Your wife will appreciate you saying that.
I didn't want to change anything either. Right, wrong, or indifferent. It wasn't the area I felt I could improve. Yeah. I mean, we can always improve, but it was, what really intrigued me was just who I was to what I thought I, was doing. Yeah. And again, if you think you're important, just don't show up for work and see how important you are. Like we get this like ego driven, I can't stop because they need me. No, that needs to be reframed, and if it's that important, you should do the things so you can be effective at the things you're doing, whether it's on the job,
Yeah. Have you ever heard the bucket of water analogy?
I've heard several different buckets of water.
But I just think whenever someone talks about the idea of being important at work, right? Work is this bucket of water, and you reach in and grab a handful of water, and you watch how fast that water runs out. That's how fast the organization moves on without you, right? You have a line of duty.
But it doesn't mean you're not important,
right? Right. It's just that the organization, the machine, continues to move on. You're important to the people, right? The relationships you have, the connections you've made. That's who you're important to. Right. The work marches on. The big red machine continues to drive. Yeah. And that's the part that, I've seen this in line of duty desks, which just breaks my heart, but they staff that truck the very next tour.
That's right.
Because the mission is the primary order. That is what has to happen.
We're in the service industry.
Yeah. Yeah. That part doesn't ever stop.
Yeah. And again, if my whole thing is to not do less, it's to do more, but to do it more intentionally and being aware of, again, like there's a lot to this. Like it's not just, try this and try that. We have to look at our human basic needs, right? We get into certainty, uncertainty, purpose, connection, right? We get into these things these are basic needs, and they can all be mirrored, especially for a firefighter. On paper, we have all the 6 basic needs, and they can all be mirrored by burnout, isolation, hiding in your work. One thing's not going well in your life. Well, it makes sense to us to just submerge in another instead of fixing the problem. So if home doesn't feel good, what do? We go to work more, and then we're in the burnout scenario. Right. Instead of just addressing why we feel we don't go where it doesn't feel good. Right. So
it's interesting because work has a tendency to be the easy button. Right.
Well, work could be many things too. Yeah. Like it could be, hiding in your hobbies. It could be all kinds of things. Yeah. But work is definitely, again, on paper, there's a lot of fulfillment in being part of this fire service. Yeah. It can fill all of those, your 6 basic needs just by showing up for work that day. And again, it doesn't mean you're happy. It doesn't mean that you have real connections. It just means that you're confusing workload with commitment and performance with commitment, and it's not. So another saying that I have is so commitment without sustainability is self-destruction disguised as commitment. So we do things to fill other banks. And my point is, just fix the ones that are failing, and you won't need to do all these other things. Pick your energy. Yeah. And I'm not perfect. Like every day I'm losing at something and winning at something. Like it's an evolving thing. But the point is being aware if I'm hiding from something or dealing with something.
Yeah. I think that's the point that I hear you making is this idea that you have to be intentional.
Yes.
And you're making a deliberate choice about where you're going to focus your energy and what you're going to prioritize. So as simple as prioritizing your health means you're going to make choices throughout the course of the day that are aligned with what your values are, what you're saying is important to you. Right. So that's huge. And you can do that everywhere, but it's at the intentional choices that you're making. Yeah.
And it's always a moving target. Yeah. And it could change for me tomorrow, but that's life. This is what we're doing, but I'll control what I can. I'll put energy where I feel it's best served. And just, hope for the best. Like, I mean, I'm an optimistic person. Yeah. I think the harder you work, the luckier you get. I believe in that. And I don't, I just, curiosity is what drives me. So starting this magazine, when I started this and putting this all together, like people thought I was crazy, and almost,
how come?
Well, it's moving to we're a digital world. Print is so expensive. Just all those, even the logistics with print and delivery is enough to say I'm out. I'm just going to do a digital magazine, which has its own barriers too. But for me, I wanted this print magazine. I wanted to bring this traditional piece of media back to a point where it could be sitting on a coffee table or in a firehouse and have a purpose the way that media was always. Like, nothing's changed other than how we're getting the media.
Right.
We're now on our phones and getting this quick media, but that's not, there's no substance to it. And it's just going to our nothing box in our heads, and it's entertaining for a minute. But, I figured if I take it seriously enough and put together this coffee table showpiece magazine that didn't follow current events, it basically is it's a conversation of content that can improve our lives and who we are to our job to do better. It was something I wanted to try.
Yeah.
And I know how the firehouse works, and I thought if this magazine's bouncing around on those walls, that there may be a chance for that kitchen table talk to have a little bit better narrative. And it's like that was kind of the goal and the vision, the dream. And I've just been building on that and trying to, I would say, make me care. So I had to create articles and find people to write a certain way to make me care.
Yeah.
We're unique, but we're not special. We're humans first.
Yeah.
So again, I'm more concerned about you as a person, what makes you you, how to stay you, and not lose yourself in this job. When you retire, to be happy, fulfilled, have some life to your years, and be proud of what you've done. Opposed to miserable and caustic, leaving, working for 30 years and walking out and never wanting to return. That to me just breaks my heart, because you've given so much and got so little out of it.
Right.
And you maybe just put your energy into the wrong things. So this is kind of where I'm at. I want to retire. I have, on paper, I have 7.5 years to go. And I want to be happy. I think I deserve to be happy. I think we all deserve to be happy.
Yeah, I would agree.
Why wouldn't that be possible? So that's just kind of where it's at. It has to be that simple.
Yeah. So how long's CRACKYL been published now?
So we're just closing our 5th year of publishing.
Nice.
Yeah.
This is just a silly question, I guess, but how do you measure your engagement or your success?
So it's our partnerships. Again, so being a magazine, my first goal was to make sure people felt safe, I guess, or that they were getting content they could trust. And in order to do that, I had to make sure the people that are leading the fire service supported it. And if they didn't support it, then it would just die in the vine, because we can't do anything on our own in this career. So that was kind of step one. And then, now it's our engagement, but our subscriptions. Like, fire departments are signing up and sending copies to each of their stations. Like, it's not just one for the chief's desk. It's like, literally, this is for the rank and file firefighters that are working, career full-time or career part-time, volunteer. It does not matter. We're like, it's just, we're driven by how I'm trying to keep you like. So
yeah. So somebody who's never seen the magazine, give me an example of some articles that they might see in there that would pique their interest, maybe.
Yeah, like, we have all kinds of things. Things that, for me when I started, like, was the lizard brain, understanding, how our fight or flight nervous system, how we process things, things that we like, even parenting, understanding imposter syndrome, even how that affects our careers, and then that coming home, the integration from work to home, again, expectations, common fights with our spouses. We're in fights we don't want, and we're in them anyways, and then it's like we see red. Again, how we parent, how we justify our time away. How do we have hobbies and things and not feel guilty for doing things?
Yeah.
Even though we've been gone.
Yeah.
Like, all of these things, we're entitled to happiness, but it doesn't come without intention.
Yeah. Well, it's really interesting. Like, those topics are so important because we had a lecture today. So we're sitting at the Science to the Station conference, on a break here. And one of the sessions was the lecturer was talking about the neurobiological roller coaster that we face when we go on to shift, and the spike that we have in our ability to sustain attention and focus at work, and how taxing that is. So when we come home, we go down the slide of this roller coaster and we bottom out, and then we wonder why we can't function with our families, right? Because we've given everything at work, and then we recharge, and then we go back to work.
Right.
But what I think is fascinating about that, and what I love about what you guys are doing with CRACKYL, is those kind of conversations. Like, we need to understand what's happening to us physiologically, so that when we come home, we can say, hey, there's a reason why I'm in a really horrible mood and I'm being a bear around the house.
Sure.
There's a reason for that. Yeah. It's not just I'm a prick. It's got more to do with my biophysiology, and there's a lot. And so then how do you attenuate that?
Sure.
Right. And how do you address it? But if you don't understand what's happening with your own body, then you can't do anything about it. So I think it's so I love the idea. It's part of why we do the podcast, is to have this conversation about different topics and get it into more people's hands, and to normalize the conversation about wellness and about mental health and physical health and, just the work-life relationship. I used to think about, I was like, oh, there's work-life balance. Everything's got to be balanced.
There's no balance.
Yeah, that's what I began to understand. Like, it's not balanced. But it's managing it.
It's rhythm.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it's rhythm.
The drummer in your head is
one. No one has balance.
Right.
Things in your life take more at certain times, and it's, it's a rhythm. So, again, it's like you're, and the other thing is too, like, does your family get the same energy you give at work? And you could be a big deal at work. You could, I'm a captain, so people listen to what I say, and, I also follow orders and all these things, but does your family get that same energy? Like, when you come home, they don't have to listen to you. They don't, you have to start over with them, and you can't just go and isolate and sit on the couch and kids are crawling on you because you're tired. Like, your family needs that energy too. Yeah.
Well, and the tools you use at work to communicate and to work with and those relationships, those are different tools than you use at home. Completely different. It's different schools. It's a different skill set. Yeah. Yeah. And you have to manage that. That's what I think is so funny, is that this idea of balance, it's not real. So, but once you recognize that, now you can do something with that. And, how do you manage your attention to those different things? Yeah.
And it's, like as far as relationships, like I always think like I get in trouble for things I don't do, not the things I do. Mm. So, paying attention and giving energy to things that need to be important, right? Mm. So, yeah, you fight for all of it. So just pick your battles, and
right.
There's no perfect answer, but that is the kind of the point. But you do have to understand when your needs are being met or unmet, when your energy is going to the right things for the right reasons, and kind of looking at building your systems around yourself where if you're off the job, because it's not a matter of when, it's when, do you have people you can talk to? And have you been somebody on your crew that, when you have somebody that starts, rumors and all those things, what that tells me is I don't trust you. I won't tell you things. I'll keep you in proximity, but when I need something, I'm not coming to you because you'll exploit me. So we have to understand that when we're in this ecosystem that we're always watching who we can trust and what we can do and who's gonna expose us, who's the true friend, and you need to find out who those people are before you need them. Mm-hmm. And you don't need 10 of them. You need one. You need one person that you can be like, you know what, man, I'm having I have a friend of mine and we always talk about like my clouds are low today. Mm. And it's like, okay, so let's we talk. And sometimes the stuff comes out we didn't even know. But the point is I have those people that I can 100% tell them what I'm doing and where I just chat it, just talk.
Yeah. The trusted ally.
Yeah. 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 But you have to have those before you need them, because you don't have them, and it's like it's just not how we're wired.
Yeah. So if you were to, you may have just answered this question, I think, but if you were to think back to 18-year-old Kory, what's something you would tell that kid?
Yeah, again, we're all human, so my expectations are high, really high. And they're still high. However, you can have anything you want, but not everything you want. And,
Yeah. So what's on the horizon for you?
I think getting
speaking of having anything you want.
Yeah. I mean, I have to watch my energy. I can't be at every conference. I can't be at every trade show. I can't be on every stage. I can't. And so my future is I go where I feel I'm needed, and I think where I can be effective for the time I have.
Yeah. And you're constantly reassessing? Constantly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I love that.
I'm driven by purpose, but I also know I don't have to do it by myself.
Yeah.
I have, we have a lot of people that I didn't, create I'm not the first one to, be going after firefighter health and wellness.
Yeah.
I mean, there's people that have been here a lot longer than I have, but now that I am here, I'm joining that fight and try to not, it doesn't make sense to do things that people are already doing. Just like when I was at work and I was doing things that people weren't doing. I'm doing that with this publication. I'll go where I feel it makes sense to go to be, again, as effective as I can.
Yeah.
And try to build something that us firefighters have never had. In some ways, try to fix the media side where we're a conduit and we're not the ones that know all the things. I know the lane that I'm in, and if I can connect the people that can actually help us to us, then I feel like we'll have something we haven't had for a while.
Yeah. I love that. That's great, man. I love that. Yeah. Understanding your lane and being the connector. I love that. Yeah. That's huge because that's what I love about the conference we're at right now is you're taking people who are doing research and who have subject matter expertise and coupling it with the fire service and saying, how do we integrate and how do we move this? And then you come along and say, how do I get this information out to the masses, right? Which is so speaking of which, how do people get their hands on CRACKYL? Is it on, I'm assuming there's an online platform.
Yes.
But it's also there's the the subscription. So where do they find you?
Yeah, we have lots going on. We have a website that has a ton of articles there, but that's how you would subscribe is through our website. We have fire station portal to sign up for like a discount to get them in your stations.
Copy.
It's as cheap as I can do it to print and deliver it. We're scaling that way. We also get a personal subscription. It's under $30 per subscription. It's like $29. And that's 4 issues a year. We do have an app as well that we're constantly evolving. It's actually going to be having a big update here very soon before our next issue comes out. So that's something to be watching and be excited for. And that's free right now. That probably will be changing as we kind of bring more and more things. And then, I think that's the two big areas. And digitally, all our magazines are archived online. So you can go back through the library and have access to it.
Is it just crackle.com or CRACKYL Magazine?
Yeah, crackle.com. Yeah.
Nice.
Well, CRC, with the Y. And it's, the content's there. So we're involved with fire departments, like their newsletters. If you want to use and repurpose our content and to support your members, we want you to do that. Get us into your fire stations. I would say I'd rather you see it and have it and not like it than to not try it. And if you're someone that can bring it into your station, if you're a chief or someone in maybe your training or different spots, like bring it in and just throw it on the table and see what happens. I would say make me care, like see if they care. And if they do, then and we're having success because it is different. That is my challenge, is to make it shiny enough and have them be curious and to pick it up. We say we're always mixing in the vegetables with the dessert.
Yeah.
And you will learn. I have, honestly, it's changed my life. It's changed my life because of just the things that we're kind of cultivating in this magazine. And believe me, when I argue with my wife, it's a better argument. Right? When I'm listening, I'm a better listener. When I'm parenting, I'm a better dad. It's just happening naturally. Yeah. It's not like I'm not having all these epiphanies all the time. Yeah. But I'm being educated. If that makes sense.
No, that's such an important thing, is that we have to. If I've learned anything in life, it's that I know very little. And the more I learn, the more I understand how little I know. Yeah. And then I need to continue to show up in curiosity to try to improve and gain a better grasp of what is happening around me. And
your story's being written right now.
Yeah.
And give yourself a break. It's that internal, our voice in our head. It can be your best friend or your worst enemy, and understand which one you're listening to.
Yeah. Right on.
Yeah.
Well, Kory, I really appreciate you taking the time and sitting down and rapping with us and sharing your journey and some of the stuff that you went through and the changes and the challenges that you faced and the changes you made. And man, coming out the other side and turning your attention to health and wellness of the fire service, man, what an amazing reason, an amazing second half of life, and to take, Kory 2.0 and do something different, man, that just makes me really proud to know you and to hear you talk about that. It's really powerful. So I would challenge everyone to go out and follow Kory's words, get a subscription, continue to work on yourself and work on your health. And I really thank you, Kory.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
That's all we have for today, folks. Thanks for tuning in. If you're enjoying this podcast, get on over to Apple Podcasts, rate and review the podcast. If you listen on a different platform, that's fantastic. Rate and review the podcast over there. It drives more folks to this great content and to folks like Kory Pearn, who is out there making a difference, changing things in the fire service, and trying to make us all healthier. To that end, take a nugget from Kory's story, imbue it into your life, find a way to make yourself healthier and happier, and keep on getting after it. Go on now, get some.